people say that the rapture is not going to occur either until the middle of the tribulation or the end of the tribulation. But the problem with that theory is that, one, there's too much evidence in the Bible for a pre-trib rapture. Even if you look at Enoch and Elijah, and I could suppose that Jesus may be, in some ways, evidence of a pre-trib rapture, because if you look at when he visited Samson's parents, and he went up and then came back down, and of course then he died and then came back and ascended again, and there's other things too, like when you think about the weeks of years, 7 weeks of years, 7 years, and the Bible does also talk about labor pains. While I can see where people are saying, oh, this is the beginning of labor pains, and so this wouldn't be a pre-trib rapture, it's like, if you think about the 7 weeks of years, you could also think about 8 days. And maybe I shouldn't get too graphic, but let's pretend for a minute that, well, let's pretend that this is what this is. So you wait 7 days, and then, you know, probably not the best way to ever perform a brit milah, I'll say that, but so you wait 7 days and then you perform a brit milah. That's probably more what the rapture is going to be like. It would have to be a pre-trib rapture, because you have the 7 church ages, and then Laodicea. You don't wait 9 days to circumcise the child, and you're certainly not going to wait. Well, let's see. Okay, so the church ages, and I forget all the names, so I'm going to have to go back and check out what they are. Alright. By the way, I'm not the best, I'm not always the best speller in the world, so you have to forgive me for that. And the one age I obviously remember is, Bithynia, I think it is? Well, that's one of them. Oh, Smyrna. The one I remember particularly, because that's the one that most Ashkenazi Jews seem to be going through, and, we all kind of know why that is, but we also know that there's going to be a 10 days, and that probably relates to Deuteronomy 28:68, but that's obviously another discussion for another time. And before I deleted some of those videos, I had already discussed that ground. And let's see, so the 7 church ages: Ephesus, Smyrna or Izmir, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. And the only modern equivalent that I really remember best is Smyrna. Well, I think Ephesus too might be within the vicinity of Izmir, but I'm not quite sure. And, because you have... And anyway, hang on, I'm sorry. Michelle! I ought to do another video with Michelle sometime, but anyways, so we have the 7 church ages: Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea, and it can't be then you circumcise the kid. It has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 days after birth. So to day 2, to day 3, to day 4, to day 5, to day 6, to day 7, to day 8. So you circumcise a kid on the 8th day, and that's basically what the rapture is going to be. It's not going to be the 2nd, to 3rd, to 4th, to 5th, to 6th, to 7th, to 8th, to 9th. That would just be pretty much ridiculous, and that would also be counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, for people who aren't looking at the, even circumcision was supposed to represent more than just, oh, have your hearts circumcised, and that circumcision, your heart being circumcised, is obviously figurative, but also, if you think about this too, think about having a kid. The first maybe 2 to 3 days, normally, when a kid goes home from the hospital or when a kid goes home from whatever, it's like, oh, he's really cute and all that. And then by the 4 to 8 days, it pretty much hits you that, yeah, you know, your kid may be cute, but you have a heck of a lot of responsibility, and that's how it's going to be for, you know, the first 3.5 years. Things are going to seem peaceful for Israel, especially when the Antichrist comes. Then you have those other 3.5 years, which aren't so peaceful, and at the end of the 7 years, which would be the 8th year, someone's going to appear. And that's kind of like circumcision. The foreskin will be cut off. The veil will finally be removed. Everyone will see the Messiah and mourn. And so for anyone who's saying, oh, there's going to be no pre-trib rapture, they're obviously not looking at all the evidence in the Bible. And by the way, too, when people say, oh, this is the beginning of labor pains, well, we don't know when the rapture is coming. And honestly, if you think about it, think about a C-section as well. When they do a C-section, okay, let me use this. This is the little piggy bank that my late aunt made for me, by the way. When they do a C-section, they cut open the stomach in kind of a way that would be like, you know, you could also use a C-section metaphor if you wanted to, because sometimes labor pains do lead to C-sections, and it'll be kind of like when Jesus comes to the clouds and just kind of grabs us up in a sense. So, you know, you can think about that as well. And the point is, there's just too many, there's more evidences for a pre-trib rapture than any other rapture. And as I said too with the labor pains thing, you don't know what's going to happen with labor pains. We don't know how long the labor pains are going to be, and the rapture could come at any time. Besides, as someone made another point too on a thing I read, if God is going to leave children to be at the rapture, little kids who are, as far as the Bible seems to evidence, in one case under 12 or 13, you know, since that's when the bar mitzvah age is and all that, and then under 20 in certain cases, because you had the census with Israel and stuff, while Moshe and the rest of Israel were in the desert. I mean, if kids, you know, give or take, if you want to say 12, or if you want to say to 20, so if kids under 12 to 20 are going to be left behind, you know, that is, in this, you know, pre-rapture tribulation, then we have a really cruel God. Because to have kids suffer a pre-rapture tribulation would just absolutely be cruel. And especially because half those kids don't know what's going on, and half those kids are way too young to make a decision. And you have the exceptions like Samuel and Jeremiah and people like them, but otherwise, I mean, I just, you know, when you think about the children, you'd have to be one cruel individual if you would think that God would ever leave kids to suffer a pre-rapture tribulation.